Hello, and welcome back to Learn My Heritage with me. I am your host, Mary Bennett, and this podcast is brought to you by the Hózhó Path Renewal. I'm a Diné woman who is reclaiming what was interrupted one step at a time. Because of assimilation and general disruption, there are many of us out there that are finding our way back to the teachings that weren't fully passed down. This podcast is my own personal reclamation, spoken out loud so that it will root deeper within me. These teachings that I share are all publicly available. I'm not sharing ceremony. I'm not speaking for all Diné people. I will be weaving in some Diné Bazad, which is the Navajo language. I didn't grow up with it, so it won't be perfect. And that's part of this journey. Jo'ogo nash do. I'm walking in beauty. And if you're reconnecting too, you're in the right space. Let's begin. Welcome back. And if you are a new listener, I would like to say thank you for joining us. In the last episode, we talked about the Hooghan Alignment and the importance of how everything in every space is intentional, especially the center, the Nahokos Biko, which means the light of light. That fire isn't just there for warmth, and that's what we're here to discuss now. It represents life, balance, and connection. And the way that we position ourselves around it, the way that we move in that space, it all matters. Today, we are going to discuss staying with the light of light, a teaching that on the surface just seems simple. But the more I sit with this, the more I realize that it's really about alignment, protection, and the choices that we make every single day. This is something that I have had to reflect on deeply, what it means to stay in the light of life, in the light, and what happens when we step out of it. So let's get into it. When I started learning about staying within the light of light, what I found is that it isn't just a symbolic idea. It's rooted into something very real in the Diné teachings. The light is often connected to khont, which is fire, and fire isn't just physical. It represents protection, direction, and life itself. So traditionally, fires are something that you stayed close to, not just for warmth, but for safety, for clarity, and for connection. So when the elders say, stay within the light of life, it's not just poetic, it's instruction. It means stay close to what keeps you grounded, protected, and in balance with what we understand as hózhó. Not just balance, but harmony, right relationships, a way of moving through life with intention. You could even say it's the act of hózhó naja do, to walk in beauty, to continue forward in harmony. Because the further that you move away from that, it's easier to get lost, to make decisions out of alignment, or to end up in spaces that don't serve you. And what's so powerful about that is that the teaching isn't about fear. It's not saying something bad is going to happen to you or you're going to be punished. It's saying there's a way of living where you are supported, where you are clear, where you are in flow. We've all been in that flow state where things are just going in the right direction for you. And there's a way of living where you're not. And the difference between those two is whether or not you're staying within your light. So these teachings give me a pause to reflect. I started thinking about my own life. I could clearly see moments where I felt grounded, clear, and aligned, versus the moments where everything else felt off. It just felt very heavy, confusing, just off. And those moments weren't just random. There are times that I've stepped out of my own light, outside of me walking in beauty, which is a part of reclamation of these teachings of this podcast, to reconnect and practice staying connected to the light of life, to continue to walk in beauty, to continue forward in harmony. So as I said before, in these teachings that I've been learning about the light of light, it is something that is tied to protection and the essence of fire, khont, as life-giving force. And that stood out to me because it wasn't taught in a complicated way. Elders would simply tell children, stay within the light of life, because there was an understanding that wandering too far from the light could lead to harm, disconnection, and not finding your way back. And that's very impactful because it reflects something deeper within the Diné philosophy, that when we are in hózhó, we are supported. And when we move out of it, we begin to feel that shift. And this is where the teachings become very real for us today, because now if you look around, we get to see there are so many different struggles like disconnection, substance abuse, lack of direction, strained relationships. And those aren't just random problems. They are a sign of imbalance. They are signs of being pulled out of hózhó, outside of the light. Even the teaching itself acknowledged that modern challenges come from a kind of disharmony within ourselves, within our homes, within our own environments. It's teaching and asking, instead of what's wrong with people, it's telling you that you should ask a different question. Where have I stepped out of hózhó? Where have I disconnected from what grounds me? The light. It tells us that if we show up unbalanced, that will show up in the world around us, surrounding us, giving us complete ownership of the imbalance, but it also creates an opportunity for you to create balance. There's also another layer of this that I can't ignore, because when we become disconnected from the light, from hózhó, we also have to acknowledge that for many Diné people and indigenous people, that disconnection wasn't accidental. It was forced through assimilation, through boarding schools, through systems that were intentionally disrupted. Disrupted language, disrupted teachings, disrupted family structure, and disrupted identity. People were separated from the very thing that kept them within the light, from the teachings, from the language, from the way of life. So when we see disconnect today, it's not just an individual issue. It's generational. It's inherited. It's something that was created and forced. And for a long time, I don't think I fully understood that. I could feel that something was missing, but I didn't always have the language or understanding for it. I didn't always understand why, but now, starting on this journey, learning, reconnecting, and applying these teachings to my own life, I can see it differently. This isn't just about learning something new. It's about returning. Returning to something that was always there. Returning to hózhó. And that's why this matters so much to me. Because this path that I'm walking, it's not just personal. It's something that I can see reflected in so many others. People who feel disconnected. People who feel like something's missing. People who are searching, but don't always know what for. And this is where my coaching aligns with this work. Because whether someone realizes it or not, a lot of what they're searching for is a return to alignment, a return to clarity, a return to themselves, a return to the light. And for me, this journey has shown me that this path was always mine, not something I stumbled into, but something that I was meant to come back to. So sitting with these teachings, I've come to realize that this is actually what I've been practicing and guiding others through for years. These teachings were never separated from me. They've always been there, rooted deep within me, even if they weren't directly passed down by my elders. Now learning these teachings, I understand why they ring so true to me. Because there have been many times in my life where I knew something didn't feel right, but I stayed anyway. Or I ignored the inner voice. Or I chose what was comfortable over what was aligned. And every time, it pulled me further away from myself, further away from clarity, further away from peace, further away from that space of jogo naja do, walking in beauty. And looking back now, I can see it clearly. I personally had stepped out of the light, which was good news because that meant that I had the ability to step back in, the ability to bring me back to my light. So what does this actually look like for us today? Staying within the light doesn't mean that you need to be perfect. It's not about being perfect. It means being aware. It means asking yourself, does this feel aligned or off? Does this environment support me, bring me energy, or does it drain me? Does this decision bring me closer to peace or farther from it? Because your body will tell you. Your spirit will tell you. Sitting with and listening to your gut, your intuition, that feeling of heaviness, confusion, or chaos, that's often a signal that you are stepping out of your light. The signal that something is pulling you away from hózhó. So here's how you can apply it in your own life. Start slowing down before you make a decision. Don't react instantly, but ask yourself, does this align with my path, with my journey? Listen to that discomfort that's coming up, recognizing that something is trying to push you back. A lot of times we tend to just push through things that we think are difficult, but can you sit with it and recognize that it's actually something that's pulling you away from your light? Also, being intentional about your environment, protecting your energy, protecting your space, and who you allow around you, learning and practicing discernment. Lastly, returning quickly, because we all will step out of alignment. We will all step out of the light because that's human. Because the teaching isn't about leaving the light. It's about how to return to it, how to come back to hózhó. What I really respect about these teachings is that it's not just about policing. It's not about rules. It's about awareness and your own responsibility. It's a reminder that we were all meant to live in the state of hózhó, in harmony, in beauty, in right relationships with ourselves and with the world around us. And when we are in that space, we're not just existing. We are walking with intention. We are walking with clarity. We are walking in beauty. So I want to leave you with this. Today, take a moment and ask yourself, where in my life do I feel aligned? And where do I feel like I've stepped out of it? No judgment, just awareness, because that awareness can bring you back. And returning to your light, returning to hózhó, that's your path. Thank you for being here with me today and walking this path, this journey. If this resonates with you, please leave a comment and share your thoughts. I hope that you continue to walk this journey with me. Make sure that you like, follow, and subscribe to make sure that you stay in tune with all the latest episodes. And if you feel called, share this with someone who is also reconnecting to themselves and to their roots. I walk in beauty. I'll see you next episode.